My name is David Miller, and I grew up in the quiet city of Columbus, Ohio. Life in Columbus has always been simple. Families knew each other, neighbors watched out for one another, and people valued hard work and honesty. I was raised by my parents with those same values: loyalty, patience, and the belief that building something lasting is far more important than chasing temporary desires. I never imagined that these values would be put to the ultimate test when my marriage to a woman I once thought was the love of my life crumbled, not just because of the divorce itself, but because of the lessons it taught me about entitlement, greed, and what truly matters in the end. Meeting Jessica. I first met Jessica Anderson when I was 26. I had just graduated with a degree in architecture and landed my first real job at a firm downtown. Jessica was working as a receptionist in the same office building. She was from Cincinnati, and she had that big city charm, always stylishly dressed, always the center of attention. At first, I was shy around her. I wasn't the flashy type, more reserved, more focused on career and long-term goals. But she noticed me anyway. She said she liked my calmness, my grounded nature, and the way I treated people respectfully. We started dating, and soon enough we were deeply in love, or at least I believed we were. Building a life together. After 2 years of dating, we got married in a small church in Columbus. My family was thrilled, and Jessica's family seemed supportive too. At the time, I had just purchased a modest house on the edge of the city. It wasn't a mansion, but it was a home where we could grow together. I worked long hours to make sure we were financially stable. Jessica initially worked too, but after a year of marriage, she said she wanted to focus on herself. I didn't think much of it back then. I believed in providing for my wife, and I thought as long as she was happy, our marriage would thrive. 4 years, I handled the bills, the mortgage, the savings, and the planning. I didn't mind, because I assumed we were a team, working toward the same future. Cracks in the marriage. But slowly, things started to change. Jessica began comparing our life to others. She envied friends who lived in larger homes, drove luxury cars, or traveled overseas for vacations. Whenever I tried to explain that those things required either debt or years of careful planning, she dismissed me. "You're too cautious, David," she would say. "You don't live life to the fullest." Her priorities shifted. Instead of being content with what we had, she wanted more. More clothes, more expensive dinners, more luxury. And while I occasionally gave in to keep the peace, I knew it wasn't sustainable. I began to notice her spending more time with friends who encouraged her to think she deserved better. Some of these friends were divorced women who had taken half of their ex-husband's assets and were living off alimony. They planted dangerous ideas in her head. The breaking point. After 7 years of marriage, Jessica grew distant. She criticized everything I did, from the way I dressed to the way I worked. She began saying things like, "I wasted my best years on you," or "You don't make me feel alive anymore." It hurt deeply, because I was the same man she married. The only difference was that I was more focused on stability than chasing thrills. One night, after a heated argument about money, she dropped the bombshell. "I want a divorce." Her tone wasn't sorrowful or hesitant. It was cold, almost triumphant. It was as if she believed this was her ticket to freedom, wealth, and a brand new life. The divorce proceedings. At first, I was devastated. But soon, devastation turned to determination. I sought out a good lawyer, not because I wanted to fight aggressively, but because I needed to protect what I had worked so hard to build. Jessica assumed she would walk away with half of everything, half the house, half my savings, and a steady alimony check for years. But she underestimated one thing: the law doesn't reward entitlement without contribution. My lawyer carefully documented everything. I had proof that she hadn't worked in years, hadn't contributed financially, and had even wasted money on shopping sprees and unnecessary luxuries. While I had kept receipts, records, and financial plans, she had nothing but vague claims. When the judge reviewed the evidence, it became clear she was not entitled to half. She would get only a modest settlement, nothing more. Jessica's face when the ruling came down is something I'll never forget. The smugness drained away, replaced by shock and disbelief. She had expected to walk away rich. Instead, she walked away with far less than she imagined. The harsh reality. At first, she tried to maintain the same lifestyle she had grown accustomed to. She rented an expensive apartment downtown, filled it with new furniture, and continued dining out with her friends. But within months, her settlement money dried up. The friends who once encouraged her disappeared when she could no longer keep up with their lifestyle. She tried to find a job, but years without working left her with little experience. The job she did qualify for paid only enough to cover basic expenses. The glamorous life she envisioned never came. Eventually, unable to afford her apartment, she was forced to leave. Word spread that she was couch-surfing with acquaintances, and later, living in shelters. She had gambled everything on the idea that divorce would make her rich, and lost. My journey forward. As for me, life was not easy after the divorce, but it was freeing. I stayed in my home, continued working at the firm, and eventually opened my own small architecture business. It grew slowly but steadily, and over time, I rebuilt my savings and peace of mind. I learned to value solitude, and later, I found companionship again, but this time, I chose differently. I sought someone who valued partnership over entitlement, growth over greed. Looking back, I realized the divorce was both a painful ending and a powerful beginning. It taught me that true wealth isn't measured in money or possessions, but in peace, loyalty, and shared values. The lesson. Jessica's story is not unique. Many people today believe that marriage is a shortcut to wealth, that divorce is a payday, or that entitlement will guarantee comfort. But reality is far harsher. Entitlement without effort collapses. Greed without gratitude destroys. Jessica's downfall wasn't the divorce itself. It was the belief that she deserved wealth without contributing, that happiness could be bought with money taken from someone else. As for me, I hold no bitterness. I pray she found her way, learned her lessons, and built something real for herself. But her story serves as a reminder to others. Chasing easy riches often leads to ruin, while building patiently and faithfully leads to true fulfillment. Epilogue. Years later, I occasionally hear rumors about Jessica. Some say she moved back to Cincinnati to live with relatives. Others say she's still struggling to find her footing. Whatever the case, the last time I saw her, she was standing outside a coffee shop in worn-out clothes, her eyes carrying a weight that wasn't there before. She didn't notice me, and I didn't approach her. I walked away quietly, grateful for the life I had built, grateful that I had chosen to rise from the ashes of betrayal and rebuild with dignity.